Thank you so much. Good afternoon. Good to be with you today, and I'm so glad to hear that we've got so many people from different African countries here together to really make business in Africa successful. The reality is, as we sit here today, Africa has the best economic growth in the whole world. So we are the future world economy, but then we need to get the basics right. And while I'm going to speak about HR, my main message to you is the most important part of the success of any business in Africa is its people. And if we can't get the people side of our businesses right, then we're not going to be effective on this particular journey. So I will give you a very quick overview of the work that we do and how we can really take Africa to the world in terms of the power of our people and the value that our people can add to world business out there. Now, when I went overseas the first time, it was in 1998. And the first person I met on the other side, I won't tell you which country it was, but you can guess. The person said to me, do you have email in Africa? Okay. Okay, and I said to that guy, yes, we even have the internet. You can come and see we do have the internet. So yes, there were misperceptions that time in Africa. I met another person and said to me, where do you come from? I said, I come from South Africa. He said, oh, I've got a friend in Morocco. Can you give him my regards? Then I realized that people in the rest of the world don't really understand that Africa is 54 countries with so many different languages and cultures that we really need to understand Africa better. And I think, but the world will not do it for us, we have to do it for ourselves. And the more effective we're going to be to really show the world how powerful we are in terms of the value we add to business, the more we'll be able to show that to them. Okay, so to prove the rest of the world, we also have Twitter and Instagram in South Africa, am I right? But won't it be wonderful if we can develop, because we inherit Facebook from America. Won't it be wonderful if one of you or one of us in Africa can develop an African version of Facebook? How does that sound? Okay, so I've just given you an idea. Whoever is going to run with that idea will become a billionaire overnight. I can guarantee you that, because we always copy from America. I'm saying let's develop a South African version of Facebook. Maybe we must call it Ubuntu, whatever we want to call it, but something that the rest of the world will not understand, but something that will make us powerful in terms of the value that we're adding. Okay. So therefore, my main message to you today is we have to leverage our human capital. Human capital is the most important capital in business. Yes, all of us want to make money. That's important, but you cannot make money out of minerals on its own. There's always people. And therefore, the human capital is probably the most capital. And therefore, the way we look after our people and the way we develop our people is going to determine the success of business here in Africa. What I would also like to see, and this is where I think we see a lot of action in the European Union and other places like that, but I would like to see a situation where we as African brothers and sisters also starting to work together better. And that's why I really just like that tagline, leaders without borders. Isn't that fantastic? In fact, why do we still need passports to travel from one African country to the next African country? It's the most ridiculous thing. We need to get rid of these passports. We are one family. Okay. We have to be leaders without borders. And I think the way we're going to get it right is, and at this conference I think is fantastic because we're breaking down those barriers between us. This is just how we're working together with our colleagues here in Zimbabwe. Any people here from Zimbabwe? Okay, no? Okay. But don't you think it would be wonderful if 54 African countries can work together to make human capital work for all of us? What we can really achieve and how successful we can be to really extract our most valuable resource to really make our business successfully. So that's my main message to you today, is to say, let's help one another with human capital. We've done interesting things here that I'm sharing with you today, but I believe we can take it to every single of the 54 African countries that we have out there. Okay, our vision, we're a professional body for HR managers, and we would like to be a world-respected HR professional body, leaving companies with proper people practices. So that's what we do. We want to say to companies, whether you've got 10 employees or 1,000 or 20,000, does not matter. Extract the value from your people. Develop your people effectively so that the human capital can drive profits for your business. And that's what we do as a professional body. So we give a voice to the HR profession, and we really help companies with good human resource management practices and standards so that you know how do you manage your people effectively in your organization. And that's in a nutshell what we do so that the companies can be more profitable and can be sustained over the long term. Now, our strategy is called HR Voice, and what it really means is we're the voice for HR managers in South Africa. So I'm so glad to hear that the previous speaker also comes from HR, because it means ultimately we are one family of HR managers who need to ensure that you make business work. But the HR managers must support you guys as the CEOs of companies to ensure that your people are productive and they are developed so that they can really deliver value for your business. Now, the three things that we have highlighted over the last 3 years is HR standards, HR audits, and HR metrics. Because we are saying your financial side of your business currently already has standards, am I right? Because you've got chartered accountants who do your accounting for you. So accounting is a very good standard, and that's why you are successful on the financial side of your business. But there were no HR standards. So every second person who do HR in the way he thinks is the right way, some will get it right and some will get it wrong, and unfortunately most people get it wrong. And that's the reason why we've developed HR standards to say to companies, you must have proper HR standards if you want to manage people effectively. So whether you recruit people or you train them or you manage their labor relations, HR standards are very important. Okay, then we've also launched HR audits as the second part. The standard is there. Now the standards can also be audited so that you can know whether your HR function is effectively. And then lastly, HR metrics is a model that we've developed to help companies to measure the business impact of your human capital. And that is, of course, very, very good news if you really get the human capital of your business right, that it really makes money for your business so that you can be more effective regarding your people practices. Okay, the first thing we have developed was a competency model for HR. And that competency model, and I will not, because of time, I will not do the detail, but the competency model starts with strategy. And what this means is every business that you're having has a strategy. Your strategy helps your business to be effective. And likewise, we say to the HR people that they need to help your business to achieve its strategy. Okay. So if your HR people are not delivering on that, you must give them a hard time because they must help you to deliver very good strategy for your business. So everything is really about strategy. So we really train our HR managers here in South Africa to really have a very good understanding of what good business strategy is all about. And it's also about good governance. So good human resource management is very important for good governance. You cannot have good governance if the people side of your business is not performing the way that it should be performing. So getting those things right is absolutely key to run a successful business for your organization. And therefore we even say the word HR governance, you need to support your corporate governance of your organization so that you know that you've got the right type of strategies in place for your organization. That last line is important, ensuring that HR adds value and providing assurance of your HR work. So if you do recruitment, you must employ the right people, not the wrong people, because the wrong people will bring your business down. Okay, and that's where HR really adds value if you do employ the right people in your organization. And there's even ways in which you can measure that. If you take mentoring and coaching, they say that mentoring and coaching gives you on average about 600% ROI. Okay, in other words, every rand or every dollar that you spend on coaching brings back $6 for your business. So the business case is very strong. Okay, so therefore we highly recommend that you use things like leadership and coaching development because that helps your business to be more effective in the work that you do and really drive the bottom line of the business. So what we've done is we've developed HR standards, and HR standards just makes it very clear what is good people management for your business so that you know right from recruitment through to exit that you do it in the right way. and that you've got professionalism in the way in which you implement those specific strategy for your organization. And how we developed it, we've invited HR managers from all over the country to come and develop these standards with us. They came from all 9 provinces as well as 4 other countries. And they've written these standards for us to ensure that the whole country agrees on how do we implement proper HR practices in South Africa. And how we've done it, we've developed this model, the standards, there's 13 of them. It starts right with your business strategy at the top, then it goes to talent management, it goes to HR risk, how do you manage the risks from the people side in your business, okay? Do any of your employees, do they sometimes steal money? Okay, hopefully not. Hopefully not, but you do have employees who steal money sometimes, and that's part of the HR risk. We say to you, what can go wrong in your business? People can steal money. People can get involved in fraud and corruption. People can get involved in absenteeism and all other negative things that's very bad for your business. And then we say, as part of your HR functional value chain, we start there right from workforce planning. We go through to learning and development, performance management, reward, wellness, employment relations, organization development as your functional areas. And then, of course, you have to deliver good HR service, and you use a lot of technology these days. These days, you can almost do everything you want to do in HR, you can almost do on your phone. Okay. Your whole employee system can be on your phone. That's how powerful the work has become. And once again, good business opportunities for those of you who want to do more technology work. And lastly, you have to measure your HR system to see how effective you can be to have a good HR function. So what we now do is we go into organizations and we audit them against those 13 standards. And when we audit them, we can tell exactly which company is good in performance management, which company is good in wellness, and so on. So that we can really see what is the quality of the HR practices in our organizations. Now, since we've started to audit the companies, this is how they have performed here in South Africa. And as you can see, they're not performing very well. Okay. So you see the greens are those that have done very well, those who got 60% and higher in the audits. Okay, the orange or ambers, they are the people who got between 50 and 60, and then the reds are all those companies that got less than 50% on those scores. Okay, so if you look at that, it's bad news, and the bad news is that we are not doing very well in terms of managing our people according to the standards. Except those 3 areas, wellness, employment relations, and HR risk, we're doing quite well in those particular areas so far. Okay, all these audits were done in South Africa. The first one, next one will be done in Botswana next month in Botswana. So Botswana will be the first country outside South Africa that will do this, and then Zimbabwe will be the next country who will also do it. And in Zambia, there's also interest, and in a number of other countries too. So if any of you are interested to take this to your countries, we can have a discussion about that, because it's just a nice opportunity for us to get human capital throughout the African continent ready. Okay, what we have done, we write all these standards up into files, and in those files we explain exactly to the HR managers how do we get these things right, from managing absenteeism to doing succession planning, that we really have a good approach to get the people side of your business practices right. Okay, a lot of companies are struggling with this. Succession planning, for instance, in South Africa, only 12% of companies in South Africa have got succession planning. Why? The CEOs don't want to leave. They want to continue being the CEOs, like President Mugabe and others who want to stay there for the rest of their careers. They don't want to go. But what we're saying to businesses, in particular, even if you're a family business, you must think about who will take over the business. Who will ensure that your business will grow and that your business will be sustained with good people practices. Here you will probably see some of your own countries or countries throughout the world. As you can see, there's about 21, 22 countries there that have expressed an interest in what we're doing, from Africa, from Asia, as well as from the Western countries. And as you can see, that it really has attracted some good interest from different countries. So if your country is not there, we can talk and we can make a plan to see how can we also get your country on the map when it comes to human capital. Because if your country is not on the map with human capital, we're going to come short. Now, every 6 months they publish these World Competitiveness Reports. And one of the most important factors of those reports is the human capital. Okay, you will see all the leading countries in Asia. For instance, Singapore is always in the top 10. United States, United Kingdom in the top 10. The Scandinavian countries, Denmark, Sweden, and those places, always in the top 10. Okay, why? They got the human capital right. Okay, so even when we're excited about our initiatives and entrepreneurship here in Africa, we're not going to grow, we're not going to compete with those countries if we don't get our human capital competitiveness right. And therefore, it's so important for us to really focus on these practices. Now, what we've done in the meantime, we've worked with about 8 different African countries, and here are some of the HR risks that we've identified from those 8 African countries, and I'm sure you will identify some of these problems in your country as well. Okay, so HR risks are not unique to South Africa. I think you will get them in all 54 countries, but those are the things that we see as very big problems in those 8 countries where your HR people issues are. And let me tell you, it's costing your business money. Your business is losing money because of those things, because you're losing staff, and it has an impact on the profitability of your country, and therefore at the end it even has an impact on your GDP of the economy in terms of your economic growth if you don't get the human side of your business right. Okay. Which African country has the best economic growth rate currently? No? Rwanda is number 2? No. It starts with an E. Ethiopia, yeah. Okay, Ethiopia. Yeah. Ethiopia has the best economic growth currently. Rwanda is number 2. Okay, and what is nice about the way these countries are growing, they are even performing better than China and India currently. Okay, and you know those are the 2 superpowers in the world, but that's why it's so important for us to get these things right if we want to compete internationally. And if we really want to ensure that those very good economic growth rates are indeed sustainable as we move forward. Now, before I end, just to show you briefly how these standards look that we've developed, all of them have got a very clear definition. Then it has got objectives. So if we say we want you to do talent management, how do you get talent management right in your organization? And then with very clear objectives and lastly, on how do you apply it in the workplace. For instance, there we have a definition, and then we've got some objectives, and then we end with each standard with a very clear roadmap on how do you implement a good strategic HR for your company. Your business strategy and HR must be 100% aligned. Okay, so if you've got 100 employees, your 100 employees must add direct value to your business in terms of your profitability. And getting that right, it is what is so key and so important for effective business here in South Africa, or in the rest of Africa as well. If we don't get it right, and this is how many South African companies and municipalities in particular are doing it, okay, we are we are very good with strategy in South Africa, but we're very poor with execution. Okay, and that's why we have potholes, and that's why we have strikes and things going wrong, because we don't get it right at the level of execution. Okay, so it's this gap between strategy and execution. They say there are 3 nations in the world that are very good, that have managed to overcome that. In fact, they say there's only 3 nations in the world: Japan, Sweden, and Germany. In those 3 countries, the gap between strategy and execution is almost 0. Because those 3 countries has mastered the art of getting strategy and execution almost 100% aligned. And isn't that what we want to achieve? What does it help you have a good idea? You go and implement a good idea, the idea fails. Okay, and that's what we see with these municipalities. And it's not only municipalities, it's also big business and entrepreneurs who has very good ideas. In South Africa, 80% of small businesses fail within 6 months. 80%. Isn't that extremely high? Isn't it sad, in particular, with 9 million people unemployed? How can we afford to have 80% of small businesses failing? It's ridiculous. And we also have this absolute mindset of a small business must stay small. I say no. A small business must become a medium business and must become a big business. Because let me bet you, every single big business started with 1 person. Isn't that true? It started with one person who had a vision to say, here's an idea, I'm going to build a business. Now, why can't we help these small businesses to be effective, to become medium businesses, and eventually help us to also resolve the unemployment issue? Okay, I know Latasha spoke to you yesterday about leadership and the leadership standard, and I just want to say one thing about it. Apart from human capital, the biggest success factor for African business to be successful is going to be leadership. If we don't have the right entrepreneurs, the right leaders, the right managers, our business is going to fail. And it's the same as with our politicians. If you don't have the right politicians, your country is going to fail, unfortunately. Okay, it's a reality that we are learning. If you don't have the right mayor of a town or city manager, the municipality is failing. If you don't have the right principal of a school, the school is failing. Okay, so I think that our energy must really go into leadership development and ensuring that we have the good leaders. And you as entrepreneurs, you are leaders. You've got this idea, but you need to keep on developing those leadership skills and developing more leaders around you to ensure that your business can be sustained for you to be effective on your journey. That is my story to you. It's about leadership, it's about human capital, it's about the people side of business. My advice is focus on that, get the right people in your business, and then develop those right people so that they can help you to become even more successful the way you do things. Let's form relationships across all African countries and show the rest of the world that Africa is the people continent. This is where we're going to get human capital right. Thank you. It was wonderful to be with you.
Marius, just a quick question. On one of your slides, you mentioned wellness, and it was in green, and you said in areas where there's green, we're doing quite well. Are we really doing enough in terms of wellness, in supporting our employees, in making sure that, I know in terms of, we've got HIV education all over, but HIV is not the only health issue that employees may be faced with. Are we doing enough?
The answer is no, we're definitely not doing enough. I think we can do a lot more. But the fact is, there are some good examples of very good practices that we see in organizations. And if I say to you the score on wellness is 6.2 out of 10, it should be 8 out of 10.
Yes.
Okay, so yes, we can do a lot more. A lot of South African companies have got these wellness days, but the problem is 1 day a year. You cannot look after your staff 1 day a year. You have to look after your staff 365 days a year. So there's a lot we can more do to do that. And HIV/AIDS is a very good example of how you really look at your employees holistically. And other things, stress. Yeah. How do you manage? All of us have got stress, am I right? How do we manage the stress of our employees and help them if they go through difficult times on how do they cope with all these things? So we can definitely do more, but I'm happy that it's the best one, but we can do lots more to really make it effective.
Okay, and lastly, and what is the SABPP doing in terms of wellness in assisting companies to be equipped enough to be able to support employees?
Okay, we have the wellness standards we've developed really help companies to know what are the steps they need to take. So we say to companies, you must have a wellness strategy, you must have a wellness plan, and you must manage your wellness risks. So the standard really guides them. So it's practical guidelines on how they need to get it right. And I think yesterday you met with Addie Lang of the cancer.
Addie Lang, she was here yesterday, but she will be speaking only tomorrow night.
Oh, she's speaking tomorrow. Okay,
yes.
Okay, that's a good example of a cancer program.
Yes.
So in that case, we help companies to, with her, to ensure that you manage cancer in the workplace. Okay, 13% of women have got cancer risk and 12% of men. That's a big proportion of your organization.
That's
and we need to be able to say, how do we support employees, for instance, who have cancer?
Thank you very much. And the SABPP is working together with the Forever Changed campaign to educate corporates and government as well on cancer prevention and taking care of yourself even after diagnosis. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Hello, my name is Marius Meyer. I'm the CEO of the SA Board for People Practices. We're a professional body for HR managers, and my expectation is to support African business people with good people practices so that our human capital can be leveraged. It's great to be here, and let's develop our leadership and our entrepreneurship in Africa to become the most successful business environment in the world.